Okay, guys, here we are for the second part of the video. This time we're going to be talking about what do you need to do? What are the different types of the project? In the last part, I talked about the idea behind the project, and now we're going to get down to the nitty-gritty and talk about what you're going to actually do. Okay, part one is to choose 4 primary sources you would put into a virtual timeline, into a virtual time capsule. I mean, to help future historians understand what was unique about 2020 to 2021. So, what do you have to have in your virtual time capsule? Okay, we have one must be something that you have written over the past year, or write especially for the time capsule. That means of the 4 different primary sources, one must be a written source that you produce, not something that you find that somebody else wrote. And on top of that, you need to have 3 other types of primary sources, and there you're already free to choose whatever you want. And you can refer back to the last video or the slides that are already up on Classroom in order to see what types of primary sources there are. And if you don't find a primary source and you have a better idea of what you'd like to do, just run it past me first to see if it's okay. So, whatever 3 you choose, you must write at least 100 words for each one, explaining the following: why you chose this particular primary source, how it is significant to you, and how it will help future generations understand what your life was like. And then you're going to make altogether 4 slides, that each slide has 1 primary source on it and an explanation per slide. Okay, so part 2 of your project is what we call a gallery walk and a presentation to the class of what you have made. So I have made for you 3 different templates to make the gallery walk. See here, 3 different templates, and I will make a separate video explaining to you how to work with these templates and what gallery walk is. That way, for those of you who know how to do these things or are good at figuring things like that out themselves, you won't have to look at that video, but it'll be there for those of you who need the help. And then, once you have your gallery walk slides, everybody will be presenting their gallery walk slides to the class either live or by video. And it could be a video without seeing you if you have a problem with that. But remember that speaking English is an important life skill, and presenting things in English is an important life skill. So I want you all to do this. If there are particular people with particular phobias, you'll need to speak to me and we'll see what we can do. But remember, next year you're going to have to sit in front of a computer that's going to ask you questions, and you're going to have to speak and answer. So remember, best thing is if you all do it as a class presentation, and if not, then we'll have to talk individually, and I'll give you the permission to do it just for me to see. Okay, so let's move on to our next slide. Okay. Part 3 is your reflection, which shows you that basically this is the last part of the project itself. It's a very, very important part of the project, because this is really where you're also going to be talking about your experience with doing the project. Now, most of the questions on here are the questions that they might ask you on the group next year, which is one of the reasons why I have them all here in your reflection, so you'll be able to practice for the oral group by using your actual project. So what are the things that I want you to talk about? Okay, the first thing I want you to talk about is, how does it feel to think of yourself as living in history? It's a different way of thinking. Normally we think that we live now, and we don't really think much about the fact that someday what we're living through is going to be history. So relate to that thought. How do you think your sources will help historians in 100 years understand what you experienced? Okay, you've got these four sources. Talk about, how you think it's going to help. What do you want future generations to know about this time? Now that you have thought more about what you have lived through, what do you hope people will learn from this time? In other words, if you could make a wish that people will learn a lesson from what we have lived through, what is it you'd like them to learn? And when you started out, hopefully you're going to hope to learn from something from the project, but this is a Bagrut question. What were you hoping to learn from your project? Next one's another one of the Bagrut questions that we see a lot is, what is the most interesting thing you learned by doing the project? What was surprising to you? What challenges did you face? Like, what was difficult? What was challenging about doing this project? And if you had more time, what else would you want to find out or add to your project? And the last question is, do you think doing a project is a good way to improve your English? I mean, you can say no. You can say yes. In any case, these are the questions I would like you to relate to in your final reflection on the project. Okay, so let's go on and see what's next. After everything is finished and I say, great, your project looks really wonderful, I want it to be put in a place that can be digitally accessed. What does that mean? Okay, first of all, I'm giving you a whole bunch of possibilities. You can put it on. There's a site for blogs called Blogger. It's all free. You use your Uffolk School mail to get into this. Google Sites. You can build an easy Google site with a template. There's something called Our Books, which makes flip books that you can then put online. There's things called S'more. There's something called Canva. All of these are slides. You could just make a Google Slides, or if you prefer PowerPoint, you can do that as well. Or if you have another idea, suggest it. If you want to make it into a book, a physical book, then you can do that as well. The only problem then is it's not going to be really honestly available for somebody in the future. And I think it's an interesting idea to consider that if we actually take this stuff and maybe I'll put everything up on a class site or through Google Sites or through a blog, it could potentially be discovered 100 years from now, because things that go up on the internet can stay there forever. And we'll think about that maybe we might want to have a class site with all of your projects up there. So that we'll discuss a little bit more, but you need to have some place where you put everything together. Here, now this is not mandatory, but I think this is a very, very good idea, is if you want, you can share your artifacts with the world, your projects with the world. You'll press on these and you will see that there are all different places that are collecting people's diaries, people's videos, people's all sorts of things. So let's take a look at this one. This one's called 6 Feet. And you'll look at the rest of them. 6 Feet is a collection of, well, it also has different types of events that they hold. So what is it? Okay, this is a collection of people's I don't know, ideas, thoughts, art about the last year, and this is what you need to do if you want to. I'm not making you. This is if you're interested in sharing what you make with the world, because I think the things that you make can be really very, very important for other people to see. There's a Jewish museum that is collecting things. I thought they'd be very interested to as well have things from Israeli kids. And this is called Recording a Pandemic. And this is a journal of the plague year. You'll look at all of them. And another idea is we could consider creating a group or class Facebook or like an Instagram page instead of a site. So this is the end of our project. Stay tuned for a video about technically having to make a gallery walk using Google Slides. So I hope you understand what we're doing and that you will enjoy doing the project. And now that you have these videos, I will allow you to work at your own pace. On the lesson, which is on Tuesday, which is from when I'm making this tomorrow, you can listen to the videos as many times as you want and then get working. Sit